behalf of the German Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, it is my great pleasure indeed to welcome you all to today's high-level conference titled Water Dialogues for Results, Accelerating Cross-Sectoral SDG 6 Implementation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage all governments that haven't already done so to support these messages and continue the dialogue together. It is up to us governments to create framework conditions and channels that facilitate the involvement of important groups and relevant stakeholders at all crucial levels. Only together can we turn this dialogue into results and make SDG 6 a success story.
Active involvement of all stakeholders in water resources management help to implement projects aimed at improving access to safe drinking water and sanitation and promoting cutting-edge technologies and innovations.
Everything starts with water. When NASA scans the universe for signs of life, its strategy is to follow the water. Because water creates an environment that sustains and nurtures life. It is the foundation of all living things.
When we think about it, the word results is well chosen. It is derived from a Latin expression meaning to spring forward. And that is exactly what we need. What we need to do in the world of water. We need to work much faster, and the pandemic has made this plain for all of us. Friends, let us do on a global scale what we will do in our own home and communities.
The value of water is unquantifiable. Water is an integral part of households, food, culture, health, education, economics, and the integrity of our natural environment. Climate change issues are key considerations in our water resources management and decision-making processes to enhance institutional capacities and to build resilience in the sector.
We want to advocate strongly to make sure that the water issue is on the center of the stage at international level.
The 2023 UN conference needs to clearly recognize and reflects the strong interlink of SDG 6 with other SDGs. It should also recognize that water knows no boundaries and belongs to all. Water should be recognized as a global common good that is to be used sustainably, shared equitably, and protect for the future of humanity and the planet.
โดยให้ความสำคัญกับการพัฒนาทรัพยากรน้ำที่เป็นกลไกหลักในการขับเคลื่อนภายใต้สภาวะการเปลี่ยนแปลงสภาพภูมิอากาศที่ส่งผลกระทบโดยตรงต่อการเกิดอุทกภัยการขาดแคลนน้ำและคุณภาพน้ำ
SDG 6 is an essential part of the 2030 agenda, but we are currently not on track to reach it. Effective and consistent international cooperation is needed to ensure the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all.
The duality of water is complex. It can be calm and give peace, but can also carry tremendous force and pose danger, depending on the climate, terrain, and source. Young people can and will be a part of the solutions the world so desperately needs, but need your commitment to elevate our voices and to take time to understand our perspective.
Financing for acceleration. Governments, national and international financial institutions and multilateral actors need to improve targeting and effective use of existing funding, mobilise domestic resources and attract additional investment.
Ladies and gentlemen, good health for the people of Africa and elsewhere starts with and depends on the availability of clean and safe drinking water. Basic sanitation is the first line of defense against many infectious diseases. COVID-19 has emphasized that in no uncertain terms. Lack of running water for the people to wash their hands and puts hundreds of millions of people in Africa at great risk of contracting and spreading the disease.
Safe water and sanitation are recognized as fundamental human rights. The collaboration with international cooperation strategies, and this is fundamental when we talk about public and private partnership. We're talking also about international partnerships. And one example is the Water and Climate Coalition, which aims to strengthen operational capacities at national, regional, and global level.
Three approaches have proven to be successful. First, improving the financial planning and investment management, very important at the start. Second, increasing the capacities of the water sector to generate revenue through water billing and fees, something which is in many countries not very common. And thirdly, improving access to long-term local currency finance for utilities.
The private sector investing in water, still there is a huge risk perception. And that's one of the obstacles, major obstacles. So for Green Climate Fund, one of the key approaches is to de-risk climate projects, including in water projects, especially de-risk private sector's investment, so that the private sector investment is the blended finance starts working better in developing countries, and the investing in water becomes more appealing to private investors.
He said, sustainable financing is not just about the money. Second solution is financing to build back better, or financing infrastructure and systems that are resilient to climate and other shocks. At the Asian Development Bank, we believe that the most cost-effective investment for our sector is one that fully factors in resiliency in its planning and its design and throughout the end process that ensures long-term water security in all its dimensions.
For acceleration, decision makers need access and to be enabled, employing quality, accessible and reliable disaggregated data, planning and implementation of effective cross-sectoral action, leaving no one behind.
Within a country, there should be a single hub, and the single hub should collect data from all relevant sections in ministry and departments. The data should be cleaned, and that's the data that should be available, readily available, not only to government policymakers, to universities, to research institutions, master's students, PhD students, all of them should have access to that data. So everyone must speak from the same data.
Capacity for acceleration. Capacity development needs to holistically transfer knowledge beyond training to foster cross-sectoral decision-making, planning and implementation.
With the SDG 6 acceleration framework, we have the roadmap that has all the elements, contains all the elements that will enable us to reach SDG 6 at least by 2030.
So water is the connector, water is life. Among the SDGs, across sectors, cultures, people and societies. In moving ahead, we need to consider that the SDG 6 Global Acceleration Framework will work only if we go beyond the boundaries of the water sector and follow the cross-sectoral approaches in all accelerators.
We have a national water and sanitation plan, which has been instigated in Madagascar by 2030, has to make sure that water resources are improved and in particular used in a sustainable fashion, and this is valid for households, the farming sector, the mining sector, in industries, and this is going to take place through a cross-sectoral approach. We have a platform. It's called Agri-Data. It's managed by the National Observatory or Monitoring Center for Agriculture. It's a portal, a data portal. It's open to the public, and it deals with every aspect of water and agriculture. We have 633 sets of data on water resources, on water management or exploitation, climate or weather-related data, drinkable water, irrigation, teaching, research, popularization,
knowledge.
Farming.
The challenge that we have is to eliminate inequalities And such a problem, one of the problems that we have in Guatemala is directly related to people living in poverty, don't have access to clean water, to sanitation. People get ill because of this. We need to give support to all sectors so that financing is done taking into account the population, and also taking into account that we have indigenous communities who are an incredibly important group of people who live in poverty.
Is that we have to localize the SDGs. We have to take the SDGs to the lowest local level possible. And that is, we have to start working much more with the local authorities, the community groups, city leaders, and of course also the operators working at the local level. And it's only if we bring those local actors together can we really speed up the delivery of the SDGs, specifically SDG 6.
Governance for acceleration. Growing water demands in view of increased water uncertainty calls for improved vertical and horizontal governance and intensified cooperation among stakeholders, sectors and countries.
Water governance is essential for two main reasons. It's essential for the acceleration and it's essential for the sustainability of water for communities. I'll talk about acceleration first. The reasons why we are not on track globally to achieve the water and sanitation goals relates to governance or lack of. I'm talking about issues like prioritising public investment or creating the environment for private investment, regulatory frameworks for water allocation, the use and structure and empowerment of public institutions. Governance reform can be difficult. It involves balancing different needs of stakeholders. We know from our experience in Australia how difficult it can be, as said, the scarcity of water, how that's allocated across different priorities, particularly between food production, industry, municipal housing needs, and giving water back or ensuring there's adequate water for the environment.
Innovation for acceleration. Decision makers need to combine traditional knowledge and innovation by involving multiple stakeholders to increase efficiency of water use and ensure sustainable freshwater supplies, especially in water-stressed and transboundary regions.
Water, as we have heard, is a connector. It is essential for every aspect of children's lives, their survival, health, nutrition, and education. When water, sanitation, and hygiene are insufficiently available, the effects are devastating. The report shows that the current rate of progress must quadruple to reach the global target of universal access to water and sanitation by 2030.
As regards innovation, in the Peruvian case and in the Ministry for Environment, we've been working on a very interesting logic, which is to look backwards. What we try to do is to go back and recover knowledge that we had from the Andean civilizations, which is which was the center of this culture in Peru. And we've been looking at the solutions based in nature.
So I'm really standing here with the hope, together with all the young volunteers that we work with, all of our field workers and all of our village beneficiaries. And we're really calling and hoping for more actions and support for innovative ideas under the SDG 6. So let the young people be involved. Let the citizen scientists, let the data scientists who are willing to help collect data be involved. And let the NGOs who are coming up with these interesting schemes and mapping all these resources, let them be involved as well. And so it's only then that these collective efforts come together that we really have more hope to catch up with what we've already been lagging behind in the implementation of the Safe Water and Sanitation for All scheme.
Emerging ecosystem-based adaptation with integrated water resource management can help achieve greater climate resilience in watersheds. Investing in nature can deliver multiple benefits in freshwater ecosystems. We need to work across sectors to implement large-scale and coordinated nature-based programs to fully realize the benefits for nature and for people.
I started with the question, are we asking too much of innovation? But I think the right question actually is, are we asking too little? Let's ask more of innovation. Let's ask startups to accelerate achievement of SDG 6. But for this, we need your help. We need to find the funding for venture capital that right now is the biggest impediment to innovation. Thank you.
You have explained what needs to be done to accelerate action on SDG 6 and highlighted how this can be achieved. You have also made it clear that we will only make swift progress if we all pull together, countries, regions, international organizations, and all stakeholders must join in cross-sectoral cooperation.
The key messages and recommendations handed over to me just right now will significantly support the preparations towards the 2023 UN Water Decade Conference. I thank all participants for their contributions to these key messages. The conference in 2023 provides an important opportunity to take stock and escalate action to reach the water and sanitation related goals and targets, which we all know are severely off track.
We will now turn to an important success factor for our dialogue process and also beyond, and that is political support. Already throughout the water dialogue process, it became quite clear there are many supporters for a call to accelerate action on SDG 6 cross-sectoral implementation. We will now get to know a number of them.
Let's be clear. If everyone doesn't make the necessary financial efforts, if we do not give ourselves the means to better manage our resources on the basis of the Helsinki and New York conventions, then we will not succeed in achieving SDG 6 and in ensuring that water truly remains our common good. On this subject, the mobilization of everyone and cooperation of all are absolutely decisive. In France, it's said that the price of water is known when the well runs dry. Let's not wait any longer.
And also,
let's
we
act
want to
together now.
make water a priority, in particular drinking water, because water is life. We've innovated. Now the state has to guarantee that the population has a fair access to water, in particular women and children. As I said before, a huge potential means a huge responsibility vis-à-vis mankind. We don't want water to be a source of conflict. On the contrary, we want it to be a source of peace because water is life.
We got all these challenges and converted them to a national strategy of water management that have four pillars. The first pillar is increasing water use efficiency. The second pillar is improving water quality. The third pillar is developing new water resources. The fourth pillar is the enabling environment in terms of laws, capacity building, awareness.
In recent years, the government of Islamic Republic of Iran has recognized the fact that the sustainability of water resources can only be achieved if all stakeholders in the field of water prioritize interdisciplinary activities and provide effective intervention for water consumers and general public in water consumption management in the agenda. This led to the establishment of a national working group on water scarcity adaptation.
Your Excellencies, this is Africa's call for action to continental and global leaders. It is indeed possible, and we can do it in our lifetime with high level of political commitment and sustainable funding. Together, we can accelerate action on the implementation of SDG 6 and the achievement of the aspirations of all of us to make the world, and indeed Africa, better places. You have our support, and I thank you.
Firstly, we recognize that water resources is a cross-sectoral issue and need to be managed in an integrated manner and requires the full participation of stakeholders in the decision-making process. Secondly, we need to step up our effort to protect the river basin environment, restore our polluted river, and treat urban waste and wastewater.
Gentlemen, I would like to convey three important messages from Jordan to my colleagues in this conference. Sustainable and innovative financing models is very important in Jordan.
And certainly, when it comes to water, it is crucial to achieve general objectives. Therefore, we have initiated a reform of the water sector.
The OECD estimates that by 2050, 4 billion people could be living in water-scarce areas, twice as many people as today. With so many transboundary lake and river basins, it is clear that without concerted action, the SDG 6 will not be achievable. Where cooperation has been the norm in the past, water could increasingly lead to conflict in the future. We cannot accept that.
We recognize that water will be the defining resource in our urban future, and that local governments have a critical role to play in the achievement of SDG number 6.
The access to safe drinking water and sanitation are human rights, which we must protect and promote actively, even in a context of increased water scarcity. All the reports that are being released point to how far we are from reaching these goals, and let us be a very clear message.
We are working on disaster risk reduction and national resilience. We are making preventive measures to reduce risks of damages from catastrophic disasters.
As you know, UNGA adopted a special resolution on it in 2016. The government of the Republic of Tajikistan, as initiator of this resolution, is committed to provide a platform for policy dialogue, partnership, and actions to contribute to successful implementation of the goals and objectives of the decade.
And to act as a catalyst, and we want to make sure that the African continent is able to meet the challenges of access to water. We shall be dealing with the challenges of resilience. And
I would like to invite you all to support the key messages and recommendations through the Water Dialogues website and going forward towards the midterm review in 2023. Only if we join hands beyond the boundaries of individual SDGs, countries and sectors, we will achieve the progress we need for sustainable development for all.